Hello and welcome to Countdown. I'm Scott Leber. He's David Greenberg. We're glad you could join us for our midweek digital high school football show as we count down to the action each weekend.
We'll discuss the upcoming games and their importance. Tim Bailey will join us with his views on the NIC 10. We'll get to know one of our local players with our 2-minute drill. Also look back at our top 5 plays from last week, plus have our stat stuffers and name our Week 2 MVP.
And Candace King will tell us what we can expect weather-wise this weekend. We're going to start with the Big Northern Conference. The top 4 teams in the conference at the moment are Byron, Genoa, Kingston, and Dixon, all 3-0. Stillman Valley is 2-1. Just so happens those 4 teams will be squaring off Friday night.
Genoa Kingston will take on Byron in our game of the week. Byron's reeled off wins over Stillman Valley, Winnebago, and Rockford Lutheran. The Cogs have knocked off Winnebago, Lutheran, and last week North Boone. The thing about these 2 teams, Scott, they're very balanced. Strong offenses and strong defenses.
And these 2 teams basically play the same brand of football. They are mirror images of each other, running the wing T in similar defenses. So preparing for each other is no chore at all.
We run a lot of the similar looks on offense, and defensively we like to get after it like our 4-4 base and 6 fronts.
Pretty close. I feel like we throw the ball maybe a little bit more than what they do, but yeah, pretty much it's going to be a lot of run.
This game will come down to which team executes those schemes better and which team makes the fewest mistakes. I know the Cogs have had some penalty issues that they want to clean up.
Yeah, every game on the schedule is important, but there's no question the intensity level goes up when these 2 teams prepare for each other.
Byron Week is just a whole different intensity. They're one of the better teams in the conference. They've made state championship the last couple of years. We had just something we have to bring another level of intensity.
We're definitely focusing in a lot better than I think we have for the first 2 games. There's definitely a sense of urgency to get working hard.
Literally after last Friday's game, everybody's been excited for this week. We're ramped up already.
Well, that is going to be a heck of a game. Stillman Valley and Dixon be amped up for their matchup at Stillman.
Yeah, the Cardinals, they dropped their opener at Byron. Since then, they've rebounded with strong wins against Rock Falls and Oregon. Cardinals outscored those 2 teams 84-7, but they'll be facing a Dixon team that has completely dominated its opponents.
The Dukes had lopsided wins against Oregon and Rockford Christian in weeks 1 and 3. The game that stands out to me was the week 2 game when the Dukes dominated North Boone 50-7 because North Boone is a very talented team, and here's what Stillman Valley coach Mike Lawler sees in Dixon.
So far, they've been awfully explosive on offense, and then I think what sets the table for them is defensively. They just don't give up much of anything. So if you're lucky to get a couple of first downs or whatever, that's a big deal against them, and then they put them in great field position, and then they're very explosive on the offensive side then after that.
You guys had a lot to deal with your opening week. Since then, 2 impressive wins. How far has this team come at Stillman Valley between week 1 and now week 4 here?
Well, I think we've come a decent ways, and we still got a long ways to go. I know that as well. But they took care of business last couple of weeks, so this is going to be an awfully good test here now this week.
How important is this game to the Cardinals?
If we can get this one, it sets us up pretty well for playoff-wise and stuff, and I think it's a good follow-up after we took one on the chin pretty good week 1, and so have we progressed since week 1? I think we'll find out one way or the other here.
David, you're going to have both those games at Byron and Stillman Valley on your plate Friday night. The other Big Northern team to keep an eye on is North Boone. The Vikings are disappointed to be sitting at 1-2 right now.
Yeah, they had high hopes coming into the season, lost the last 2 weeks to Dixon and Genoa Kingston. Next week, they'll have to travel to Byron, so the Vikings absolutely have to take care of business this Friday at home against Rockford Christian. They just smooth some things out, get their mojo back, and not get down on themselves. I still believe the Vikings are a very dangerous team.
I agree, and Chandler Alderman, he's going to keep getting better and better at quarterback the more snaps that he gets. We're going to get into the NUIC and a huge 8-man football game coming up Saturday in a bit, but right now, David, let's look in on the NIC 10.
Yeah, let's get up to speed on the conference standings. 2 teams remain undefeated, Belvedere North and Hononegah, and you got 4 teams all at 2-1, Harlem, Easton, Boylan, and Freeport. Belvedere North and Hononegah scheduled to meet in 2 weeks, but they have to stay the course until then because those other 4 teams are ready to pounce.
These are the matchups this week at Hononegah at East, Belvedere at Belvedere North. Some bragging rights going to be on the line there. Harlem travels to Freeport, Guilford takes on Jefferson, and Auburn will play at Boylan. Hononegah and East shapes up as an interesting game.
The E-Rabs looked real good last week in their win over Auburn. Hononegah keeps cruising along, and this week the Indians should have starting quarterback Isaac Wizenan back on the field. The Indians' depth and overall strength has been too much for their opponents so far. They are extremely impressive, and last week the same when they jumped out to a 42-0 lead at halftime on Freeport. They let off the gas in the second half and won that one 49-24.
This was an important game for us to come out and play hard, and the guys did exactly what I hoped they would do and what we talked about. So they came out, like I said, had a great first half performance.
Here's what I'm interested to see in this game, how East's strong defensive front matches up with Hononegah's big offensive line. The E-Rabs have some great athletes up front on defense, and Joseph Holloway, Darius Sago, Latrell Kyles, Joey Pineda, and most of all, that man, number 52, coming off the edge, Tyrus Cunningham. He had 8 sacks last week against Auburn. The E-Rabs could use another Superman performance like that against Hononegah.
I've been around football a long time. I haven't seen a kid get in the backfield and cause that much havoc ever in a high school game. So hopefully that film will get him some money.
Is there more that we can see from Tyrus Cunningham than what we saw tonight?
Yes, sir. Working every day, every night. Night in, all day.
Better than last Friday? I wouldn't put it past him. Well, the Harlem and Freeport game could be an explosive one, David.
Yeah, these two teams have some great playmakers on offense. The Pretzels were shut down last week by Hononegah's defense. It won't be easy for them to really crank it back up against Harlem's strong defense as well, but the Huskies have done a good job the last 2 weeks bouncing back after their opening loss to Hononegah. They scored 56 points on Jefferson and 50 on Guilford. Here's Harlem's head coach, Bob Moynihan.
They're a very good football team. They pass the ball about 59% of the time. They throw it 41 or run it 41% of the time. They have some weapons. I think we have some weapons defensively, and if you look, that's been our Achilles heel is some balls that have gotten away in the secondary. I don't think you'll see that too much here in the future, but I think we've been working on it very hard. And our kids, they're against the run, we're pretty solid. And I think sometimes their eyes might peek in the backfield a little bit, but they're working on it. They'll be fine.
Let's talk some more about these Nick 10 games with our Nick 10 expert, Tim Bailey, who joins us now on the big board. Tim, let's start with this Hononegah and East game. This could sneakily be a really good game. Hononegah, obviously, one of the top teams in the conference. What does East have to do to keep up with them and potentially slow down this offense?
Well, they have to play great D again. That defense from last week has to take it up 4 or 5 more notches to be able to go out there and compete with a great offense like Hononegah. And I think they'll respond. I think they can do that. That's going to be a big job for East High School to be able to slow Hononegah's offense down. They came up big last week against Auburn, shutting that offense down, keeping Auburn to about 17 to 18 points. That was scored by Auburn. I definitely think they're going to have to be able to be a better defensive team in order to be able to stay in the game with Hononegah.
So ramp up that defense 4 to 5 times. You saying Tyrese Cunningham's going to need 30 to 40 sacks on Friday night? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, man, I think that kid's got at least 15 in him.
I think so.
He did a phenomenal job last week, firing up the ball, getting in the backfield just about on every play. He just did a phenomenal job, and I think he's going to continue to keep that motor is going to continue to run high with him. And hopefully hopefully Hononegah has a plan to slow that down.
Gary Griffin of East likes to say, hey, he'll take a 2-0 win, a 6-0 win any day of the week. He just wants to control the football. He loves low-scoring games, but let's face reality here. East is going to have to put some points on the board Friday because Hononegah's offense is not going to be held to probably 6 points or 12 points even.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you 100%. East is going to have to put points on the board. They're really going to have to, come out with a high-powered offense. They're going to have to throw the ball. We saw that last week, which was a good sign that, with the quarterback Larson over there, each week that I've watched him, I mean, this kid just continues to maturate each and every week, and that's a good sign for East because, again, we know East bread and butter is the run game. When you have balance playing against a team like Hononegah, I think you're better suited to be able to stay in that game and not have the game become a blowout. But yes, they are going to have to put points on the board if they want to actually stay in this game with Hononegah on Friday night.
Let's talk about the Auburn-Boylan game a little bit. Boylan 2-1, Auburn 1-2. Their seasons could go either direction here, turning on this game on Friday. What does this game mean for the Titans and for the Auburn Knights?
Well, I think just, along with the Boylan Titans, I mean, it's homecoming. You're at home. You don't lose at home, particularly when you're homecoming. They're coming off a big win against Belvedere. Last week, the week before that, the loss to Belvedere North. They were able to, correct some things. It looked like offensively and defensively. So hopefully that offense is going to get back to that prominence where it once was, in week one. So, a lot's at stake here. They still have some tough teams on their schedule. They have East still on their schedule. They have Hononegah next week on their schedule, and they still have to face a good, tough opponent in Harlem.
All right, thanks, Tim. We're going to see you here Friday night in studio with us on Overtime. We'll talk some more Nick 10 football then.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
All right, now for the Northwest Upstate Illini Conference. Here are the standings. DuPac and Lena Winslow lead at 3-0. Forston and Fulton are 2-1. Dakota, Stockton, East Dubuque, and Galena are all 1-2. David, this conference is turning out to be what we anticipated. DuPac and Lee Win leading the way, and it's a very strong conference top to bottom.
I think that goes without saying. All four of those 1 and 2 teams are good at teams, and even 0 and 3 EPC, they're no slouch either. So teams, they really do have to show up ready to play every single Friday night. And speaking of that, these are the games this week in the NUIC. Dakota at Forston, DuPac at EPC, East Dubuque at Lena Winslow, Galena at Stockton, Fulton at Madison. That Dakota-Forston game will be key for those two teams, Scott.
Yeah, Dakota got a much-needed win over Stockton last week, and now the Indians need to keep it going and get back to the 500 mark. Forston at 2-1, they're still in the thick of the conference race. The Cardinals can keep winning because they lost to DuPac, but they can hope that down the road DuPac loses to Lena Winslow, and then hope that they, Forston, can win their game against Lena Winslow, which will be the final week of the regular season.
Exactly. Now let's check on some 8-man football because there's one more game that's a whopper on Saturday. Ackland will play at Orangeville. These might be the two best teams in 8-man in the state. I saw them this past season so far, and they are really, really strong. I think it goes without saying we could very easily be looking at one, if not both of these teams making a deep run in state. You'd think without Will Gustafson, the Bulldogs maybe lose a step. Not the case. Believe it or not, they actually run a quarterback by committee system, so you never really know who's coming. And on the other hand, Orangeville, led by Gunnar Lobdell, and let me tell you, that man is a machine. Ripped off 2 huge touchdown runs in the first quarter of their game against Hiawatha last week. I am really looking forward to this matchup. These are the other 8-man games this weekend. Biggsville West Central at Amboy, Hiawatha at South Beloit, Milledgeville at Blue River, AFC at River Ridge, Polo at Decatur Lutheran.
Other 11-man games around the area this weekend. Rochelle will host winless Johnsburg. Sycamore will travel to Ottawa. DeKalb plays at Mattia Valley. Harvard will play at Marengo.
We'll get to our top 5 plays of the week from week 2 and our MVP in a moment.
Right now, Genoa Kingston senior fullback linebacker Colin Nessler joins me in our 2-minute drill. All right, Colin, first of all, you're an outstanding offensive and defensive player, fullback, linebacker, but if Coach came to you one day and said, Colin, you can play any position you want to this week, what would you pick?
I'd probably running back. Our running backs get the ball quite a bit, and they're pretty fun. They have a lot of lead blockers, and they get to go run for touchdowns.
Tell me about this team a little bit. Who on this team has a great sense of humor, who's tons of laughs? Huh?
Michael Sauver has a pretty good sense of humor. He's pretty funny. He lets the team have a couple of laughs in the locker room and on the field.
If there was somebody you needed to go to for advice on this team, not a coach but a player, who would that teammate be?
I'd probably Chase Engel. He has some obscure advice, but it's normally pretty good.
Chase is a good man to go to. Okay, let's talk about some other sports. Maybe is there a sport that you've tried that you're such a great athlete, but is there a sport you've tried that you just can't quite figure it out? You can't get the hang of it. It's just not your cup of tea.
Table tennis, ping pong. I'm not very good at it, but I love playing it. I got a ping pong table in the basement, but it's fun. I'm just not very good at it.
One of these days, though, maybe when you're done with your football career, you'll get the hang of it. All right, do you have a favorite NFL team?
Oh, the Bears.
Bears?
I'm a Bears fan.
Okay. You happy with what you're seeing so far?
Oh,
You want Justin Fields to play?
I do. Sunday night was brutal. Our defense looked like a high school team. But I'd love to see what Justin Fields does.
Who is your favorite NFL player?
Probably Khalil Mack. Okay. He's pretty fun to watch him manhandle offensive linemen like they're fifth graders.
Okay. Do you have any other talents outside of athletics?
I'm outside athletics. I'm a pretty good student. I'm pretty good at math.
Math?
Yeah, math.
Okay. What's the square root of 144?
Oh, geez. 12?
Good job. I think that's right. Not too bad there. Thanks to Colin for playing along with us. By the way, good analysis of the Bears defense.
Yeah,
kind of like a high school team.
Absolutely.
He's an outstanding young man. Thanks, Colin. It's time to count down now our top 5 plays from Week 3. David, start us off.
All righty. Top play number 5, Dakota speedster Adrian Ariano. So fast, our camera can't even keep up with him. Ripped off this 59-yard touchdown run against Stockton last Friday. Good luck trying to stop Ariano from busting a big play. 4 entire quarters of football.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. Top play number 4, Lutheran hosting Byron, the bright spot for the Satyrs. This kick return, Nolan Moore on the return, a great stiff arm there. Moore thought he had 6. He would have, except Joey Trank caught him from behind just inside the 20.
Great effort there. Top play number 3, East defensive end Tyrese Cunningham playing like a man possessed. Look at how quickly he darted into the Auburn backfield to get the tackle for a loss.
Top play number 2, Harlem's Austin Redmond airing it out against Guilford, and he has a man with speed open near the sideline. That's Tyrone Tyus. He has it, but he can't get away from Zeke Worry. Still, what a great play by the Huskies.
And our number 1 top play from Week 3, North Boone's Will Dutch. Look at this. This is special, even for him. Takes the short pass and lets his legs do the rest. Runs through and past the Genoa Kingston defenders. Dutch makes a lot of defenders look bad. Will Dutch makes our top play of the week for Week 3.
Now, a look at Week 3 stat stuffers. Stillman Valley fullback Joey Spain rushed for 4 touchdowns.
Will Dutch again, he had 134 receiving yards for North Boone, along with 2 touchdowns, and on defense, intercepted a pass.
How about Hononegah's sophomore quarterback Cole Warren throwing 3 touchdown passes against the Pretzels?
And Lena Winslow running back Ethan Fide churned out 217 yards rushing and scored 3 touchdowns.
And Winnebago's Michael Cunningham had himself a game against Rock Falls. He rushed for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also picked up field goal and 6 extra points.
Our Week 3 MVP, though, is East defensive end Tyrese Cunningham. 8 sacks says it all. He was a complete difference maker in the East Auburn game. Well, no complaints about our Friday night weather through the first 3 weeks of the season.
Can Candace Keene keep stacking those great forecasts together for us? Here she is with what to expect this weekend.
Thanks, guys. You know, we've had some pretty decent weather over the last couple of weeks for our Friday night football games. This upcoming Friday, we might have to dodge a couple of isolated showers as a cold front nears from the north. I don't think it'll be too much that'll impact those games, but might have to keep an eye on the radar. So we'll hold on to an isolated shower or thunderstorm chance. We'll call it a personal foul weather, just with that slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm as we go through the early evening. Most of that will kind of be tapering off as that cold front slides a little bit further to the south. Temperatures will still be mild after making it into the mid and upper 80s Friday afternoon. Those numbers as we near the evening will be dropping back into the 70s. Scott, David?
Thanks, Candace. Be sure to join us Friday night for all the Week 4 highlights on Overtime.
That comes your way live at 11 p.m. on Fox 39. It will also be rebroadcast on Fox 39 Sunday mornings at 9.
This again is Countdown. Watch for it each week on our website, mystateline.com, on our WTVO YouTube page, and on social media as we count down to each weekend of action.
We'll see you Friday for Overtime on Fox 39.